Hello, General Hospital today will reveal the snowstorm gripping Port Charles isn't just a backdrop for atmospheric drama, it's a narrative trigger, a classic soap trope that cues emotional upheaval, sudden confessions, and most intriguingly, the potential for unexpected pregnancies. As the blizzard shuts down roads and traps characters together in isolated pockets of tension, longing, and unresolved feelings, General Hospital takes full advantage of the chaos to stir romantic entanglements, deepen betrayals, and potentially plant the seeds, literally, for shocking developments 9 months down the line. Daytime fans know the pattern well. Whenever a snowstorm hits, babies soon follow. The combination of trapped intimacy and suspended reality creates the perfect environment for impulse decisions, complicated hookups, and game-changing consequences. In this particular storm, Port Charles becomes a psychological pressure cooker. Some characters find themselves drawn to past lovers, others seek comfort in the arms of unexpected partners, while still others may cross lines they've long resisted. But given the genre's signature elasticity with medical science, biology is never a barrier to drama. Infertility is no match for plot-driven fertility miracles, surprise paternity results, or off-screen trips to fertility clinics that magically resolve what was once deemed impossible. Writers can easily erase a past diagnosis with a single line of dialogue or a conveniently updated test result. And even if biology refuses to cooperate, there's always a surrogacy, embryo implantation, or secret adoptions to bring a baby into the picture. Nowhere is this tantalizing than with Carly Spencer, who finds herself at the center of a potentially explosive love triangle. She is currently sheltered at her own home, and the timing couldn't be more soap-worthy. Initially, Carly had been alone with Valentine Cassadine, who had been hiding in her attic but was recently allowed down, a gesture that already suggests a growing bond or at least a developing trust between them. Valentine's presence is loaded with emotional ambiguity. He and Carly are supposedly allies in a dangerous scheme, but the air between them is thick with tension. Whether it's romantic, strategic, or both remains a question, there is no denying the spark of intimacy growing in their moments of quiet planning. They are united by a common goal, taking down Jack Brennan, a man whose power has reached into the darkest corners of their lives. But just as that intimacy begins to simmer, Brennan himself appears at Carly's doorstep. The timing once again is more than just coincidental. Snowed in and surrounded by secrets, Carly, Valentine, and Brennan now find themselves locked in a pressure chamber of conflicting agendas and hidden desires. The possibilities are staggering. Could Carly, caught in a swirl of confusion, end up in a moment of disguised vulnerability with Brennan, the very man she's plotting to destroy? The idea sounds outrageous, but that's the lifeblood of soap storytelling. It would be the ultimate twist if, in an attempt to manipulate Brennan or gain his trust, Carly seduced him only to later discover that her strategy led to consequences she never intended. A pregnancy storyline with Brennan as a father would be nothing short of explosive. It would shake the foundation of her partnership with Valentine, who has risked everything to trust her. It would also throw her entire plan into jeopardy, giving Brennan leverage she never anticipated and forcing her to navigate the moral complexity of carrying a child tied to an enemy. Even more layered is the emotional fallout. Would Valentine continue to stand by her, or would this rupture her alliance? Would Brennan use the pregnancy to draw Carly into his world and away from her original mission? The narrative possibilities are thrilling as they are dangerous. Furthermore, from a character arc perspective, this kind of development could thrust Carly into one of the most emotionally turbulent storylines she's had in years. It's not just about a baby. It's about identity, betrayal, power, and survival. She would be forced to question her choices, her alliances, and even her ability to separate strategy from instinct. And in true soap fashion, the baby would serve not only as a new life, but also as a ticking time bomb. Its paternity secret dangling over everyone's head until the moment of maximum impact. On a broader scale, this plot device also has the potential to reshape alliances across Port Charles. If Carly becomes pregnant with Brennan's child, it forces other characters into uncomfortable corners. Would Sonny get involved if he saw Carly in danger? Would Drew spiral? Knowing the woman he once loved is now entangled with a man as ruthless as Brennan, what about Anna or Jason? Both of whom have deep connections to the WSB, and could be pulled back into Carly's orbit if the pregnancy puts her or the baby in danger. The ripples of such a twist would reach every corner of the canvas, reigniting rivalries. reopening old wounds and testing the boundaries of every relationship Carly holds dear. And this is only one possibility among many. If the show leans into the full potential of the Snowstorm setup, we may see other characters also caught in moments of unexpected intimacy. Some of these could lead to hopeful love stories, while others may spiral into betrayal and regret. But Carly's situation stands out because of the high stakes already surrounding her. The presence of two powerful men with conflicting motives, and the narrative history that makes every choice she makes resonate far beyond her own arc. Ultimately, General Hospital's Snowstorm is more than just a weather event, it's a storytelling engine, designed to upend lives and birth new storylines quite literally. As fans await the next wave of consequences, Carly stands at the eye of the storm. Her future and possibly a new life hanging in the balance. The only certainty is that whatever happens next will change everything. The snowstorm in Port Charles continues to blur the boundaries between intention and impulse. And for the young couples huddled together in secluded hideaways, the thick curtain of snow has become a stage for emotional reckoning, quiet vulnerability, and unspoken desires. Among the most compelling dynamics to unfold during this blizzard is the one between Emma Scorpio Drake and Gio Palmieri. Trapped inside Anna Devane's home, their situation is deceptively innocent. But soap fans know better. Stillness often precedes seismic shifts. Emma and Gio have only recently embarked on their romantic journey, but what they lack in time, they make up for in chemistry and youthful sincerity. There's a delicate beauty in how they navigate each other's emotional terrain, a blend of hesitation and curiosity that marks their earliest steps into intimacy. Yet in the world of General Hospital, even first love isn't safe from consequences. The snowstorm isolates them not only physically but emotionally from the rest of the world. With no parental eyes watching, no social distractions, and no real escape, what begins as innocent companionship can easily drift into vulnerability and perhaps into impulsive intimacy. The question lingers in the silence between them: are they ready for what could follow? A baby may seem like an extreme leap, but this is Port Charles, a town where one snowbound night has the power to reroute lives. Emma, with her lineage as the daughter of Robin and Patrick, carries the weight of legacy and intelligence. Gio, relatively new to the canvas but already emerging as emotionally grounded and full of potential, seems to stabilize her world in a way she didn't expect. But neither of them is prepared for what it would mean to face an unplanned pregnancy. Not emotionally, not practically. And yet the show has rarely let realism get in the way of a compelling storyline. If such a twist were to unfold, the implications would be enormous. Anna, still grieving past losses and battling the scars of espionage and betrayal, would be pulled into a new role as potential grandmother. Robin would return, likely shaken and furious, creating an intergenerational storm of conflict. And as for Gio, his connection to Trina and the broader canvas of Port Charles' youth would evolve instantly. He would no longer be a newcomer dancing at the edges of other people's stories. He would be at the center of one of the most emotionally charged developments of the season. Meanwhile, across town, or more accurately, across the snow-drenched stables, another potential parental duo huddles for warmth and comfort, though theirs is a pairing rooted less in youth and more in emotional recovery. Molly Lansing Davis and Cody Bell may seem an odd couple at first glance, but the more time they spend in close quarters, the more a quiet intimacy emerges. The storm forces Molly to reflect aloud on her past, particularly her painful history with TJ Ashford, a man she once loved and lost, not to a single catastrophic moment but to the slow erosion of emotional disconnect and grief over fertility struggles. Cody listens not as a stranger, but as someone who knows what it means to live with regret, to want something more, and to fear being unworthy of it. It's in that shared sorrow, that mutual understanding of the weight of unmet expectations, that something begins to take root. In an almost poetic turn, the stable a place of warmth, rebirth, and shelter becomes the setting for their emotional thaw. When Molly opens up about her past, she is not merely confiding in Cody. She is perhaps unknowingly rewriting the script of her future. What makes this pairing so narratively ripe is how unexpectedly well they fit. Of all the storm-bound characters, Molly and Cody may be the most emotionally equipped for parenthood. Molly is intelligent, nurturing, and increasingly aware of what she wants out of life. Cody, often painted with the brush of comic relief or reckless behavior, reveals a depth that only emerges in moments like these. Moments where silence says more than dialogue ever could. If they were to conceive during this snowstorm, it would not be the product of lust or chaos, but of emotional alignment. It would be quiet, perhaps even unintentional, but no less meaningful. And then there's Christina, always the supportive sister. Christina's presence in Molly's life serves as a protective buffer and emotional touchstone. Having recently explored surrogacy and family planning herself, Christina is uniquely positioned to support Molly through any decision she might face. The dynamic between them could become one of the strongest subplots if Molly finds herself facing an unexpected pregnancy with Cody. Christina's role would extend beyond that of a sister. She would become a confidant, a challenger, a mirror. How she responds could either solidify or shatter the fragile trust between them. General Hospital has always been about legacy, about how love and trauma echo through generations, shaping new stories from the pieces of old ones. In this snowstorm, the writers have crafted a perfect setup to explore those echoes. Emma and Gio represent the promise of new love, with all its innocence and risk. Molly and Cody represent healing love formed in the aftermath of heartbreak and shaped by hard-won wisdom. And hovering above them all are the choices, the consequences, and the questions that won't be answered until the snow melts and real life rushes back in. But until then, time stands still. And in that stillness, anything can happen. A baby born of youth and fire. A child conceived in quiet forgiveness. Or perhaps nothing at all, just the echo of what might have been. In Port Charles, nothing is ever certain, but everything is possible. And when the storm clears, the future may arrive not with fanfare but with a heartbeat. As the relentless snowstorm continues to blanket Port Charles in a silence thick with anticipation, it is clear that the storm has done more than paralyze the streets. It has set the stage for a profound emotional reckoning. Beneath the layers of snow and isolation, relationships have found new directions, secrets have been unearthed, and the fragile possibility of new life has emerged from the most unlikely corners. Nowhere is this potential more poignant than in the dynamic between Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne. Their bond has always existed at the edge of danger and vulnerability. Jason, the stoic enforcer with a past steeped in loyalty and sacrifice, has never fully let anyone into his heart. Britt, the brilliant yet emotionally scarred doctor living under the shadow of Huntington's disease, has spent years constructing barriers to protect herself from disappointment, from loss, from hope. Yet when the snowstorm forces them into stillness together, the walls begin to crack. In the hush of falling snow and flickering firelight, Britt finds the courage to speak the truth about her illness. About the future she fears she can't have, about the children she believes she cannot bear. It's a moment not just of confession, but of raw intimacy. And Jason listens, not as a protector, not as a man always ready for the next move, but as someone seeing her,